So I finished up my first Scarezone project. Looks good. I'm very happy with it. And now I'm going to show you how I did each little part of this. Other than the Pumpkin Man, because I did him in a different video. But here we go. Enjoy. Now that I've got the Pumpkin Man all wrapped up, it's time for me to start on building the little decorations that are going to go around him on the platform, or on his little stage, I'll call it. So the first thing I'm going to make for that stage is a box to stick over top of the fog machine. It's going to basically, it's going to look like an old crate, but instead of building a flimsy crate, which I could, I'm going to make it a little bit more robust. So the first thing I've done is I measured out the fog machine that I'm going to use, and I've cut some of this 3/4 inch project plywood to the proper sizes, and now I'm going to biscuit it. Again, I really like using a biscuit joiner for projects like this. And I'm going to get it all biscuited up and glued, and then we'll move on to the next step. I got the fog machine cover all put together, and basically I just took, which I showed already, biscuited this 3/4 inch plywood together. But then, when I got done with that, I took some regular 3/8 plywood, ran it down on my table saw to cut it down to 3-inch strips, and then just glued and air nailed the strips to the outside of the crate. And I'm not going to paint this sucker right away. I'm going to let it age a little bit out in the sun. But there you go, one fog machine cover. As you can see, I screwed down some plywood because I'm going to need it for some dirt. I got my last wall built. Got my 2 crates there. One's fog machine cover. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've got the 2 crates placed where I want them on this. I'm just going to call this a little stage for ease. I got them placed on the little stage, and I've cut some styrofoam chunks because I've got some foliage, like some cattails, or, well, maybe they're not cattails, I don't know, some kind of weeds that I'm going to put on this as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Gorilla Glue these down to the plywood. I picked a heck of a day to do this because it's windy and hot. This is kind of a weird combination. So in order to do the Gorilla Glue, first thing I do is brush a little water onto the styrofoam, a little water onto the wood. Oh, it was actually a little bit more than a little water. Then you go ahead and apply your Gorilla Glue. That's probably good enough. And then I just stick it in place. I also drive one little screw in here to keep it in place while it's drying. So the water, though, I guess I should have explained that. It just helps activate the Gorilla Glue a little bit better than if you were to just put the Gorilla Glue on there directly. Be aware, Gorilla Glue does expand. So I'm going to get these all glued and screwed down, and then I'll move on to the next step. Next thing I'm going to do is I want to put a layer of dirt all over this entire stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wood glue, and I'm going to throw the wood glue down, and then I'm going to throw dirt on top of it. It's a little technique that I used to make a miniature gaming table quite a while ago, like a long time ago. But instead of using black dirt for that or topsoil, I use sand. But it will give the same result, and it'll have a permanent dirt look down here. So you see, glue down, sprinkle the dirt on there, spread it out a little bit, let it dry. Simple as that. So I'm going to coat the entire stage real quick and get this knocked out. Dirt's all down. Now I just got to let it dry. Whew, man, is it hot out here. But a couple things. The reason I use wood glue instead of something like Elmer's glue is I found that the wood glue doesn't come up as much if it gets wet. Like if it rains, or you know, you spill a little water on it. Like the Elmer's glue, I've noticed the times that I've used it for stuff, if it gets wet, it can, like, I don't know, it becomes unglued. That wood glue does dry pretty fast, so you're going to want to do it either in small areas, or you're going to want to just hustle through it. And especially on a day like today where I'm doing it out in the sun and it's hot as heck out here, it dries real fast. So you want to get it down, get it spread, and get the dirt on top of it quickly. This is actually a couple days after I started the dirt process, but that same day that I glued the dirt down, I then took, once it dried, took clear polyurethane, and I put 2 coats of polyurethane over everything, and as you can see, sealed the dirt. And it actually, I didn't put the urethane on the styrofoam because I've got something else I'm going to do to that, but it actually rained really hard yesterday too. We had a thunderstorm and no ill effects. Now, I chose the polyurethane dirt way of doing this because I wanted the dirt to look wet, like a wet field. And that's exactly what it looks like. There is other ways of doing dirt, and I've got another little project that's going to involve a dirt look, and I'll show how to do that for that project later on down the road. So, like I said, this is 2 coats. Funny story about this though, because I was talking about how the wood glue is sort of water resistant. When I was filming that, it was really hot out, and I was standing up filming it, and I started sweating really bad, and it dripped into my eyes, both my eyes, and I couldn't wipe it out because I had dirt glued to my hand. So I had to blindly fumble my way into the house, and I was trying to wash it off with my eyes closed, and the eyes are just stinging, and I can't get the dirt and the glue off my hand from soap and water. So that's just proof that it is a good method for gluing dirt down, I guess. So I just got done making another crate of a different size, slightly bigger. I'm not going to really show that till the final cut anyway, because, I mean, a crate's a crate. I made it just like the first one. I just did the trim work slightly different, but the technique was the same. But one thing I'll show that I've also made for this, and after looking at it and the 2 crates, I'm hoping I have enough room on that Scarezone platform for it, but is this little shovel prop and a bucket. So basically what I did there is just took a bucket and a shovel, and I was able to drill a couple holes through it. Kind of stuck it at an angle inside that little bucket there and filled that sucker full of ready mix. And then at the last minute I threw that little plastic skull in there. Just a cheap little plastic skull. I'm hoping I can kind of paint him up a little bit better than I did to make him look not quite as plastic scully. And the other thing I did is I just kind of hit the bucket with some brown spray paint to knock down a little bit of the silver, and did it to the handle of the shovel a little bit, but I think I'm going to have to do a little bit more paint work on it to make it look a little bit more aged. But there's another little prop that's going to go on there. For the next step of this, I put my crates back in place, and now I'm going to put some weeds and different foliage type things in the styrofoam. What I got is I've got a few different things, but I'm going to start with these. I don't know what they're called, but they look cool. Now the stems of these aren't strong enough to penetrate the styrofoam, so I'm going to take this little nail, poke it in there, put a little bit of hot glue on the shaft, stick the shaft down inside the styrofoam, and then I'm just going to put a little bit, sorry about this, hard to hold the camera and do this, but a little bit of hot glue around the edge too. So I put all my little foliage and weeds in there. It's looking pretty good. Put the crates back in. I hand poked a bunch of them with a nail, but then I actually switched to a couple different drill bits and was putting them in clumps because that tall stuff, whatever that is, I don't know if that's wheat or whatever, it's not real strong by itself. So a little bit stronger in a clump, and then I kind of like hot glued up and down the clump to give it even more strength. So we're getting there. Almost done with this thing. And finally we have pretty much the finished product. At least as finished as I'm gonna let it be until fall. But look at that. So with the pumpkin man up there, that's about 7.5 feet tall. But I got my weeds up there, I got my crates on there, I got a couple more little corpse pumpkins I stuck there. Dirt's holding up really well on that platform. It sat through 2 thunderstorms this week since I put it on there. Let's take a look at it. You know what? I may cut that 2x4 down a little bit now that I'm looking at it. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not going to paint or stain those until about September, mid-September, even late September. I want them to dry out and age as naturally as they will in the sun. I don't have any fog juice, but this is actually a fog cover. Fog machine fits right in there. I didn't drill the little front hole yet, but I will. This is one of a few little portable Scarezone scenes that I'm gonna make. I'll come out here when it's dark too and plug in his light and show the light cascading down on the props. So it's pretty much night here, and that's how much the props below that dude get lit up. It doesn't quite pick it up properly, but not looking through the camera, you can actually see everything pretty well. This camera's not the best for night shots. But anyway, there you go. Done and done. I guess one thing I should mention, and I mentioned this in a previous build, but I should have revisited it for this one, that I built these walls with boards here around them. Oh, you can't even see that one, it's too dark. But anyway, so I could stick corn stalks behind there, so I can surround this entire Scarezone corn stalks. So anyway, take care. Thanks a lot for watching. Actually, just one more quick shot overhead. This is a little bit better idea of how much light is shown through that pumpkin. Okay, now good night. Take care.